Sweet Jesus.
How red am I now?
Hello.
Use me as a fire.
Rewind selector. It's okay.
Hey Sheila, how you doing?
Hi, Kevin. Hi.
So yeah, we just recorded for like 10 minutes and I realized I didn't hit record. So take two. Welcome.
Thank you.
Sheila, you are a healer. I know that for certain.
Yes.
Why are you a healer?
It goes way back to my childhood because I always felt that I was different. I always felt that I had a bigger purpose to my life, and I always felt that I was a bit too mature for my age. When people were talking about dolls, boyfriends, dressing up and stuff, I was like, I really don't want to be doing this. Like, I want to be out there doing something bigger than myself, So I felt a bit more like a loner growing up. Like, as much as I tried to connect with people, I tried to just blend in with the rest, I always stood out because of being different, as they'd put it in that sense. And because I'm naturally a better listener than I am a speaker, people always felt comfortable to approach me, to share their problems, share whatever issues it was they were having back then and still now, of course.
Yeah.
And that kind of like opened a portal, kind of opened doors into diving deeper and trying to understand what the bigger story is, what the bigger picture is, because people always come to you and, for example, share if they're going through a relationship problem of some sorts. When you listen to their story and they share the issue they're having, whether the partner is emotionally abusive, physically abusive, sexually abusive, or anything, there's always something they tell you that they're not vocalizing, but you can feel it. You can sense that there's something deeper than what's going on right there. So with that, I also kind of started tapping into intuition, started seeing, like, I'm not going to start telling you weird stuff, like I'm seeing something around you or anything, or presence of some sort. But I would see, like, you can see someone's aura. Like right now I see the periphery of your body. That is your aura. Okay. So you can see the size, you can see the brightness, you can see so many things. So when someone is low, down, depressed, sad, of course the aura shrinks, and then it can have like a bit of a darker color. When someone is happy, vibrant, joyous, like, just in happy spirits, the aura naturally expands and blossoms.
Yeah, right.
So I kind of started seeing that apart from hearing. There's clairvoyance and what is it called? Clairaudience. I can't really.
I know clairvoyant. Is there another type of?
Yeah, there's different types.
Oh, is there?
There's different. Yeah.
I thought
the ability
clairvoyant
to see.
was a person, like Claire, and then her
Oh,
son,
really?
like Mrs. Voyant. That's not the case.
No.
Oh no.
Clairvoyant
Okay.
is the.
What is it? What is clairvoyant English? Or is it like
Yes,
French
it
or
is.
something?
It is English.
That is my.
We don't know.
That is my first and only language I speak. So what does a clairvoyant do?
It's someone who has the ability to see. So you can see beyond the physical. So you'll meet a lot of people who call themselves mediums or some sort of psychic, who sees spirits or sees things from out of this world, from another world, So that ability to see beyond the physical is what we'd call clairvoyance.
So are you when you meet people then, are you really tuned into body language and how posture and facial micro expressions, the way people do stuff like this? Is that something that you really pick up on?
Yes. Yeah. I do. It's also more of the sense, the ability to sense, and just like, as much as someone is talking to you and they're smiling and they're happy, there's the sadness. There's some sort of sadness. There's something in them that's just not sitting right. There's like a heavy energy.
In everyone? Do you think?
In a good amount of people, to some degree.
What about people's voice? Can you, when you hear someone speaking, can you tell things by their voice? I mean, as in terms of, trauma they may have experienced, how comfortable, like for example, supposedly I've heard a theory that a very high pitched, fast voice is a sign of obviously like being nervous, being maybe highly strung, carrying a lot of tension. Is this something that you would pick up on if you met someone as well, that you would you read into this, or is this just is there no what's the correlation?
No, it's connected. It's all connected in some sense. And yeah, you can always tell a lot by the way someone talks, the speed at which they talk, the tone that they use, and just even the accent, because I definitely don't have an Irish accent or whatever. But so it's easier to tell, like, oh yeah, she's not from around here, or she's probably from that side of the world, you know? It's always easier to pick up on that. So it's just a natural, like, it's just an obvious thing. But then there's always, okay, I can't really, there's some things that just cannot be explained. So I'm just trying to find a way to explain it. But just in simple sense is you can always tell a lot about someone from the way they speak.
And also as well, the bits between when they're speaking. This is why I think like face-to-face conversation is so it's unmatched, really.
Yes.
In terms of understanding people. I find that whole topic really, really interesting. Non-verbal communication, essentially. And I know you're talking about a dimension beyond that. You're talking about the non-physical, as in like things you can't even see, the non-physical, as it were. When you're doing a session with someone, what does that involve? Because I know you've got a lot of certificates. You're like, as you said, yeah. When we met a few weeks ago, we had a coffee, and you were saying like you're addicted to learning,
yes,
and completing courses.
Yes.
So if someone like, what services do you offer, and what do they involve?
Well, I'm a yoga teacher. Okay, I've been teaching Ashtanga yoga for over 7 years now. Also did my yoga teacher training and Ashtanga and Hatha, and have more training that I signed up for as well.
Again,
the more certificates. Yes, just did that actually 2 days ago.
Yeah. Okay.
So yes, so I'm a yoga teacher. I'm an energy healer, energy therapist. So I use prana, I use crystals, and just intuition as well. I'm an oracle card reader and a spiritual guide. Yes, I lead people, guide people on their spiritual journey, their awakening, because a lot of people go through some form of trauma and they're like, okay, this kind of like you've been living your life with the eyes closed, walking blindly, and now you see and you're like, oh my God. But now with all this knowledge, what do you do next?
Yeah.
So I actually help people on their spiritual journeys as well.
Because sometimes ignorance is bliss.
Oh, yes, indeed. We've all been there.
You don't want to face
included.
it.
Yes. Yes.
Speaking of which, this is probably the good time to do the reading.
Yes.
What do you think?
Yes, sir.
Now, because this is audio, some people might not be watching this. I'm going to explain what I'm looking at. So Sheila is holding a box. And she's opened the box, and a golden light is coming from the box. I'm joking. A dove has flown out the box. No, I'm just adding some spice. She has a deck of cards.
Yeah. So these are
Can you show me the deck of cards?
Yes. Just to be sure you know what's going on there. Yeah. So what I always do is...
These are oracle cards, right?
Oh, yes, oracle cards. I don't know. It's not really preference, but I guess oracle cards chose me over tarot cards.
What's the difference?
Tarot cards. There really isn't much of a difference, but it's the graphics, I think, would be the major difference. Oracle cards are softer. Tarot
physically
cards,
softer? Or...
visually.
Oh, visually soft.
Yeah, they're soft in the eyes. They're not harsh. Tarot cards can be very aggressive. You can see a little demon. You can see a tail. You can see horns. You can see so many things. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it might be a bit too harsh for some people. Yeah. Although a lot of people do prefer tarot cards.
Yeah, tarot cards.
for the brutality of it.
Yeah, I've only seen tarot cards once, and that was in a James Bond film. I think it was Sean Connery or Roger Moore, one of the old ones. And it was this Asian lady. She was kind of flirting with him, but also doing his tarot cards. And then she took out one, and it was like, they were quite traumatizing, like skulls and blood and stuff like this. But so yeah, these are softer. Okay, good. Now, is there any etiquette for the table? Do I like not touch the table or not touch the cards? Or?
The thing with anything to do with energy readings or energy healing is there's no protocol, there's no form of order whatsoever. People will probably put it in place to kind of instill fear. I'm like, okay, behave yourself.
You're in charge.
But yeah, you can literally be sipping on tea. You can be definitely not on the phone. But yeah, you just need to be present. You need to be receptive. You need to be open to the reading. Okay. And what I always do with clients before readings is just send them a little profile of what they need to do before the reading. Ask the right questions, like what do they want out of this reading? What are they experiencing now? What guidance are they seeking? Are they receptive to this form of reading? What are they going to be doing after they receive this reading? So it's like a little guidance, a little guide for the reading. And then during the reading, we do whatever we have to do. Then after the reading, there's like a little aftercare, what needs to be done after as well. So people will be taking notes. I've had clients literally bring out a pen and paper. It's all right.
I've got it on. It's being recorded.
Yes. So, so you're sorted. You're good there. You're good there.
I assume you don't want more tea.
No. You see, it takes a while for me to actually finish mine.
I get you. No rush.
Yeah. So,
and is this the one you're doing now? Is it going to be the one card read?
I'll do the single card reading.
Okay.
I normally do the past, present, and future reading, which will probably take a whole hour.
Okay.
Yeah. So the single card reading will just be your guidance. Yeah. So probably set the intention in your mind whether you want guidance for the day, guidance for the week, guidance for the month, and then whatever card I pull will resonate with the kind of guidance you're seeking.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah, out of the card as well. Just give me one knock.
On the cards? I'm knocking the cards.
Sir. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
What are your thoughts on the Ouija board? Is there something in it? As in?
I have no thoughts.
No thoughts? Okay.
No, it's just, everyone has their calling. Otherwise, I'll be so obsessed with all these modalities and practices that are out there. So I always just follow what my intuition guides me to, and I take it from there. Yeah, so some people, I haven't met anyone who uses them yet.
A Ouija board?
I would love to, yes. I would love to.
My dad is the most skeptical person ever. Like if I say something to him, oh, Dad, did you hear this? He'll say, where'd you read that? So it's always, but he did the Ouija board when he was a kid. And he was in a Mayo, in the middle of nowhere where he grew up. And he said that it was moving around, like it was going to different things, and it freaked him out. That's the one. Could you call that a spiritual experience?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the spiritual experience that he had, and it shook him. Yeah. So it's amazing how someone who is an adamant skeptic when it comes to spirituality can have their moments. So.
Yeah. All right. So we'll pick the first card and just.
I pick it?
Yeah.
And
just pick it and just place it down.
Face up?
Yes, sir, please. Just on the side.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, look at this. This is wonderful. You have the fourth chakra, which is your heart chakra, and you have Archangel Raphael guiding you.
Yeah. Fourth chakra, Archangel Raphael, yeah.
Yeah,
Number
he's
38.
the angel of healing.
Mm.
Yes. He's the angel of healing. So basically what this card, can I share?
Yeah.
How deep can I go?
I'll go deep, yes, I'm good.
So what this card is saying is Archangel Raphael is with you. He's guiding you, he's protecting you, he's removing whatever elements. There's a lot of energy. I'm getting a lot of more of not really emotional, more of a mental stress energy you're experiencing now. And it also has a lot to do with self. Yeah, aware. You're self-aware, okay? But then on this journey, you have a lot of questions you're seeking. There are a lot of questions you're asking and you're still waiting for answers on. And as much as you appear to be physically healthy, physically fit, there's something internal that is causing some form of harm. Have you suffered from depression? I know there's anxiety, but then have you suffered from depression at some point in your life?
I would say I have felt depressed. The reason why I don't know if I can say I've suffered depression is that I know people very close to me that have, and it's like, you know, not wanting to get out of bed, not getting out of bed for days, weeks. I have never been like that, but I've definitely felt that there's no point to life. It's pretty.
Yeah, that's the energy. And anxiety is the highest level you're experiencing right now. Anxiety. Love anxiety energies. Yeah. You're confident, but not as confident as you'd like to be. You are self-conscious. You're very self-conscious. And that's outside, like way outside our conversations we've had. So you probably have had some, it's still mental. I'm still getting mental. So there's a lot of mental healing. You should be diving more into mental healing. Yeah, clearing, decluttering your mind, relieving that stress. The moment you hit your yoga mat, you feel relief, peace, isn't it? So you need to carry that sort of peace with you in your head. That's the message Raphael has. So whenever you feel down, low, and out, call upon Archangel Raphael and he'll be with you. Yeah.
And no, go on, Sheila.
Yeah. Now the fourth chakra is your heart chakra, and we are yoga teachers, so you're already familiar with the heart opening poses you should be doing. So this card is actually telling you to do a lot more of your heart openers. There's a lot of pent up energies and emotions there. So as soon as you open this up, you release, let go, and let the healing sink in. Yeah. So when you do your heart opening poses, or when you're meditating, focus on your heart and visualize green around your heart area. So in pranic healing, we have 14 chakras plus. In Reiki, they actually acknowledge 7 chakras. Now we have our heart chakra in the front. In pranic healing, we also have a back heart chakra. Now, back heart chakra is where we store all our unexpressed emotions, all our, whatever it is we don't want to deal with now, we always throw it in the back, throw it in the back. But then as you throw it in the back, you're creating cords, and those cords are getting stronger and stronger each time. So call upon Archangel Raphael to bring in healing, and then call in Archangel Michael to cut those cords and release. So you start feeling lighter and you start feeling more relaxed as well. You had a question?
No, interesting, because practically, from a practical point of view, we say about the heart opening. I was born with a relatively severe deformity, which is called pectus excavum, and it means that your chest concaves inwards. So 1 in 500 boys get this, and I think 1 in 500 boys. I think like 1 in 2,000 girls or something. But mine was like really severe. So it didn't bother me at all when I was growing up as a kid. But then when you hit puberty and you're after playing a game of football, you take your shirt off in the showers, people would like mock me, saying, that I look weird, whatever. But psychologically, it didn't affect me that much because I kind of had an outgoing personality. I could give a bit back. But I would say that it did make me self-conscious in terms of relationships. So I'd like even when I go for a swim, I leave my t-shirt on, you know. And then I got an operation when I was 16 to have it repaired, and it was a barbaric operation.
Oh, no.
I mean, they cut me open, nipple to nipple, actually right under the armpit, and they actually cut across through one of my nipples, right? Which is a bit shoddy workmanship. But they opened me up, took the muscle out, they sawed off the cartilage in each rib that was deformed, and then they screwed a metal bar in there. Then about 6 months to a year it took for the cartilage to grow back normally, so not concaved. And the doctor said to me, right, and it looked so weird, you could actually almost like see my heart beating through my rib cage. I had no muscle, all deteriorated and atrophied. So I was 16. So the doctor said to me, like people going on holiday and like trying to meet a girl for the first time and that type of thing. And I looked like a skeleton basically with a big scar across me. But anyway, so the doctor goes, right, you need to do push-ups. And I'd never done any real exercise before. He said, do push-ups because you need to rebuild that muscle. So then this put a thing in my head of like, the more muscle I have, particularly on the front of my body, and that sounds weird, the more of a man I am. This is my transition from boy to man. So within like a year, I actually put on a good bit of muscle. And there's a picture of me where the lads were like 17, and like I've kind of got a muscular physique for a 17-year-old boy. But that never really went away. I was like, right. Then I started meeting women, girls, I suppose, because I was 17. They were girls. But actually, there's a story there, but I won't go into it. But then I associated, right, if you got muscles or you've got an athletic physique, that's a man. Whereas if you're skinny, you're a boy still. So then I became obsessed with doing push up. Did a little bit of boxing. It was all about push-ups. And then when I went into yoga, the one thing I was good at was arm balancing. So I could do arm balances because my upper body was very strong from pushing all the time. And then that reinforced like, okay, you're becoming quite popular now because you can do these cool looking arm balances. So it's like, right, I'm looking better. I feel better about myself, and it's making my work more in demand, as it were. The downside of that is I didn't do any like back bends, any heart opening. And also as well, I like the feeling, the adrenaline of being strong. I like when you're doing like loads of chaturangas and you leave the mat feeling almost like pumped and psyched, and the prana's moving, energy's moving. The heart opening stuff kind of brings out that feminine side that I try to suppress.
Yes.
I try to keep it down because if I have too much feminine, it will quench not quench, that's the wrong word. It will suffocate my masculine, as it were. So, and then like you get into a relationship and you're kind of like, right, I'm the man, you're the woman, we have a child, and like now I'm the breadwinner. So you add on to that, like I have basically look after the family financially as well. So that mentality carries through into my physical practice. It's all about strength, pushing, getting strong. But if you suppress the softer side of you, the feminine side, there's going to be an imbalance. So I really hear what you're saying there about heart opening, back bending, being more almost like passive and letting things in as opposed to always pushing things out.
Yes.
So yeah, that does resonate. And the other thing you said was mental exhaustion or mental, I think you said like anxiety or something. Yeah. The phone. I mean, I'm sure we all go through this. I'm addicted to my phone. Like that's pretty much
hands down.
I would say that that's relatively common. I hope, as in, it makes me feel less of a freak and weak that I'm addicted to my phone. But I'm trying to address that. What do you make of that?
Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense. But then basically, like, I think because you're aware of it, the transition becomes much easier. So even as you're telling me your story, you're telling me like, okay, you're tapping into your childhood, you're tapping into your little inner child, you know, you're tapping into that space, and you're like, okay, even as you're talking about, you still felt a bit uncomfortable talking about it because you're going back to that stage in your life and feeling the emotions you felt, the thoughts you had and the people who are around you and how they made you feel and how you coped with that feeling by actually trying to get your body back, try to have that strength, try to keep, like, it's like you're fighting, it's like fighting a disease you never had.
Oh, brilliant. Yes.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Because what you experience is the physical body's experience. It's not your soul's experience, you know? So your soul journey is to learn the lessons in this lifetime. So the lesson you learned is, okay, yes, I have been through this. Now I have to work out physically, but now you have to do the emotional work and the mental work, because those two work together. Those two work together. So you're aware, you're in it. So even if you're my client, I'll be so happy. I'm like, yeah, there's not much work to do. I don't know why you're coming to me. You already have the answers to the problems you have, you know? So it's like, you're on the right track. You're on track.
Yeah.
Okay? You just need constant reminders, Kevin. For some reason, you have a stubborn energy that always needs some form of what's it called? My English is leaving this body. You always need reassurance.
Yeah.
It's like you always need a form of reassurance that, yes, well done, you're doing it. Good job.
So true.
Keep going. Yes, you did it well. Oh, the video is perfect. It's good.
Yeah.
You know?
That's so true. Last night, again, I was playing football and Wednesday nights, and someone bollocked me out of it. Basically, someone had a go at me and really got me down. And then the next person who's like higher in the hierarchy, they're like the captain of the team, was like, I did something good, and like, well done, Kev. And I was running around then like crazy. It's amazing how like I like to think of myself as being a real strong-minded person. Don't need other people. But if someone gives me a pat on the back, it really boosts me. If they put me down, it really puts me down. But then it depends who's saying it, obviously.
But, yeah, of course.
Yeah, of course.
Of course.
I want to learn about your life.
No! I'm the healer here.
Yeah, but is that our session done with the cards?
Yeah, that is you
cool.
done with the
Thank
cards.
you so much.
I'll pull another one for you. There's another one that probably you need to look
Pull
through
another
after
one?
this. Yeah. You want to pull it now or you want to pull it after?
I'll put it after.
After. Very good. We can do that.
Is that good? Yeah?
Yes,
yeah.
yes,
Okay.
that's your personal one.
Because I want to learn about you. Now, obviously, you're like, oh shit.
Ding, 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 ding.
But before Heal with Sheila, before Yoga with Sheila, you've had a really interesting life. And you, when we met for coffee the other week, you spoke about your experiences with religion. And I know, by the way, I would like to, and you correct me if I'm wrong, differentiate between spirituality and religion.
Oh, yes.
Now, I don't want to cause any offense, but this is my take on it. I feel like spirituality is about love and compassion. It's about understanding each other. I feel like religion piggybacks on that a little bit. It organizes it slightly. And then sometimes, depending on the religion, it can kind of put rules on top a little bit, a stack on that. And I feel like spirituality is about liberation. Whereas in my experience, and I'm open to being corrected, religion is about sometimes compliance, adhering to what everyone else is saying and not stepping outside of that. That's why I stepped away from religion. But it doesn't mean I don't believe in God, because I feel like a society without religion is actually quite vulnerable to another ideology or another way of thinking. And this is why I think spirituality can be so powerful, because it's something that doesn't force you to believe a certain thing, but instead it opens your mind up to think in another way. That's what I love about. So on that, Sheila, I'm really interested because you've lived and experienced different religions. So would you mind talking about that?
Yeah, sure. But you gave a very good explanation. Our job is done.
No, but specifically because I only know about Christianity, Catholicism, and I grew up in quite a strict religious upbringing. But that I don't know really much about other religions in that depth, and I'm just interested about your background. So would you mind?
Yeah. So of course I grew up Christian, very strong Christian family. my grandfather is a very strong Catholic and my grandmother's Lutheran. So from my mom's generation, they always had the option whether you wanted to go to the Catholic church or you wanted to go to your mother's church, Lutheran. So I think that's when that openness started with the first generation. I always call them the first generation in my family, my mom's generation, because I think them having the option to choose was already like, it wasn't, okay, it was still religion, but then it wasn't very restrictive, you know? Because if you're born to a Catholic family, it is Catholic. You have to go to the parish every Sunday by fire, by force, as you say back home. You know, you have to. No questions, nothing, nada. You know? And now my mom, having had that option, left Tanzania at the time and moved to Zimbabwe. And there she went into another Protestant church, a Pentecostal church. Okay, so we grew up more in the Pentecostal church. Clapping hands, dancing, singing, crying, stuff you would not get in the Catholic church.
That sounds great.
Speaking in tongues.
Wow.
It was always a spectacle growing up in our age. So it was a Sunday show for us all the time, you know, until we reached our teenage years. So I was a happy Christian, very familiar and aware of the Bible, but with religion, I still stand to be corrected. I'm just speaking from my own personal experience, not representing everybody else out there. Reading the Bible when I was in the church was it was structured. You know, you had to understand the Bible according to what the preacher was saying. So it was his own interpretation of the Bible, not based on your own understanding of the Bible, you know? So with that, we just had to follow the 10 commandments. Thou shalt not lie, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not do A, B, C, D, and all that stuff, you know? And you follow the commandments. We need structure in our lives. We would not have civilization without some form of structure. So at least we can commend religion on keeping people straight, you know, in that aspect. But later on, I started asking questions. And these were questions that the youth pastor, the preacher could not answer. And because I had these kind of questions, they started telling me that I was possessed by a demon. I needed deliverance. I needed prayers. I was not listening. I was being disrespectful. So I was living with my father at the time, and my father and stepmother. And they called some people to come over to pray for me because they needed to cast out the demons that are making me question religion and the scriptures. So they did that. Apparently, according to them, I guess it worked. I have no clue. I was still the same Sheila. I don't know. So I was like, okay, cool. And then next thing, I was taken to a traditional doctor. And I was taken to some mountains somewhere in Zimbabwe at the time. And it was so bizarre. I still remember that day. It kind of feels like a dream, but it was real. So I was taken up to some mountain area, taken down into a little open cave. So it was nice and open on the outside. You had to climb down to go into a little river. It's not really a river. It's like a little, what do you call those little...
A stream?
Stream. It's not really a stream. It's just like spring water.
A geyser? Like when it comes out the ground? Yeah. They call it a geyser or geyser?
One of those. So he cracked an egg on my head for some spiritual reason. I was just like, God, I'm done with this. I'm about to swear. I'm done with this stuff. I was like, okay, fine. Is it over yet? No, it's not over. We had to go up the mountain, and then you had a white dove in one hand, and you had the black one. So he said the white one represents purity, cleansing, that whatever demonic things are within me, because the church could not remove the evil spirits from me. The white bird will signify purity and cleansing. And then the black bird, who normally fights apparently with the white bird, would mean that I still have the spirit in me. So praise be to Jehovah. The white bird flew away in peace, and the black bird, I don't know what happened to the black bird, but they did not fight. There was peace. So to my dad and stepmother, then apparently I was cured from, or whatever evil spirit was within me left. So I didn't get my questions answered, by the way. So I went back to my mother's house. Well, I was a rebellious teenager at that time, and continued with church. But then I got curious. I was like, what other religions are out there? Because all I'd known in my life was Christianity, whether it was Catholic, Lutheran, Anglican, Pentecostal, all these other like Christian sects. And I made a few Muslim friends along the way, a few friends from Lebanon. They introduced me to the Quran. I started reading the Quran. It was very fascinating. I still wasn't content. I still wasn't getting the questions I had answered. It was still guidelines. Because, I always refer to spiritual books like the Bible as motivational books. They're supposed to motivate you and just offer some guidance. You're not supposed to worship the book. You're just supposed to acknowledge it, take the lessons, move on, interpret it in whatever form, whatever way you want to do it, and go with it, So started reading the Quran, did a few teachings, went to a few classes, the conversion classes and stuff. I was like, okay, but no, I still want to be controlled. I want to be free, Then moved on to Buddhism. So I joined a Buddhist temple in Nairobi at the time. It was okay, but then you're still controlled, like, oh no, you shouldn't do this because according to the book ABCD. Oh no, enlightenment means this, it does not mean that. And I'm like, I'm meant to be feeling liberated. I'm meant to be feeling free in whatever practice I choose, to practice. But then I'm still feeling caged. So a few years ago, I took a trip down to India for my yoga teacher training. And of course, because my mother's side of the family is Indian, so I kind of got a bit curious about Hinduism and took my trip down to India, because I always told myself, if I'm ever going to go to India, it's for something spiritual, not leisure, not shopping, nothing. And I started reading the books. I started getting into the practice. I connected with the teachers. It was just eye-opening because, Hinduism is a religion in some sense, but then it's also spiritual practice at the same time. So it's always how you choose to take it, how you choose to practice it. Yeah. And yes, I felt a bit liberated, but then still I was feeling caged. Because I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm on my road to enlightenment, but what if I don't want to be enlightened now? Even though I was already, but I was just being stubborn, looking for any way out possible, So it's like, oh, if you don't do your mantras in the morning, or Mani Padme Hum, sending out the love, Om Namah Shivaya, or, all those mantras connecting, and they're like, oh, you've not done your spiritual practice, if you don't do it, you're not going to go on your path of enlightenment and all that stuff. And I was like, no. So, like having experienced, gone through that journey of religion and now getting into spirituality, I kind of found a way to like merge the books. Like when you read the Bible the first time, you follow the rules, the guidelines, because when I was born, I didn't ask for the name Sheila. It's my parents who gave me that name. I didn't ask to be Catholic, Pentecostal, whatever. It's something that my parents instilled in me. So who is Sheila? Who am I without my name, my identity, my practice, my upbringing, my academics and all that? Who is Sheila, or who is this person without all those things? So now, as soon as I got into that thinking, I literally hit the nail on the, I was there. I was like, who am I without all these things? So now I started looking at the Bible and then realized like, it's like you're reading the same words you've been reading all your life, but you read them on a deeper, it's like a deeper level. It's like a level of understanding. Like, for example, I would take, one of my favorite scriptures growing up, because I was a girl. And, Matthew 7, chapter 1 always says, judge not that he be not judged. So it goes on further to say, first remove the log in your eye before you remove the speck in someone else's eye. So, of course, the church would interpret it in whatever sense they're trying to interpret it. But then when you look at it, when you look at the bigger picture, you are loving your neighbor. Your neighbor is you, me and you, in that sense. Like, okay, you are who you are. You have your story and everything. I am who I am. I have my story and everything. But then we connect. We are connected as one because we were created as one. Does that make sense? So
Created,
it's like
kind of the created equal in the eye of God, as it were.
Yes. But then who is God? Is it the God that the Bible has told us about? Is it the God that, like, if you have whatever little ornaments, little ritualistic things, is that God? Like, who is God?
This is a problem with a religion and all religions, because what you're saying is your definition of God, your rules and your psalms and your scriptures are the only ones that can be true. That's my interpretation, and then therefore other religions aren't as relevant, or maybe are obsolete, not needed at all. So who is God? So do you believe there is a God?
Oh, yes.
Okay. Do you follow a religion now? No. So religiously speaking, are you agnostic, atheist, would you say, or you just maybe it's best not to put a label on it at all.
Yeah.
Because someone asked me that recently, like, what are you religious? And I said I am. I think I said I'm agnostic. I think, but I just don't follow a religion. But I wouldn't rule it out. I wouldn't rule it out at all. Yeah, because life can be very difficult, and sometimes it's nice to have that community, to have a roadmap, a guidance to what is the optimal way to live. And me and Rach have had this discussion about bringing up our daughter. Are we going to bring them up religious or not? And it's complicated because Rach also grew up in a very religious household, like even way more religious than me, but she's not anymore. And I think when you've gone to that extreme, you almost do the reverse. You as you said, you don't feel liberated. You feel like I'm being watched all the time and I'm being judged all the time. I mean, I'm actually gonna I plan to bring on a pastor. So I went to the Phoenix Park a few weeks ago, and there was a mass being given by this pastor. His name was John Ahern, and Sheila. It was like you were saying about the Pentecostal church, where people are fainting and singing and stuff. People were like that not that creative, but in the Phoenix Park on a Sunday in the middle of Dublin, people were like, and like he'd say, praise the Lord, and be like, everyone's like, and they're like,
amen.
Yeah, and everyone's like getting into it, and I was like, I like this. I could kind of see myself, like, it's a bit like when I used to go and watch Arsenal play football. To me, that's a spiritual experience. There's thousands of you singing in communal singing. You're willing the same goal on together. And the bonus of going to a football match is that there is actually sometimes a goal, and then you all celebrate together. Yeah. Obviously, there's downsides of football, being a football follower, like the ideologies in football, the radicalism in football. Like when you go to a football match and you're like, I'm an Arsenal fan, and then you'll see a Chelsea fan and be like, oh, fuck you, Chelsea fan, you scumbag, whatever. And this could be your friend who lives down the road. But because they've got a different colour shirt on, they're the enemy. You go home and this is what happened to me. I don't watch football at all now anymore. I had no clue about. I don't know who the players are, who the team. Well, I know the team, anything about it, because I realised like I go along on a Sunday to watch the football, and I turn into this radical person that's like shouting at a complete stranger, and I think, what am I believing in here? I want to belong so badly that I'll follow anything just to feel like I'm part of something.
Yes, and that's the thing with religion, because it's good. Like, I would I would encourage my daughter to go to church or follow whatever practices it is she wants to follow, because we are social beings, you know, and socialization, obviously we have it in school, the process, we have it at home, but then we also need some form of socialization elsewhere, which would be the church in this case. So of course I wouldn't be the person I am today without my religious background. You know, I wouldn't have reached this level of thinking, this level of awareness without the religious aspect. So if I did not have any form of religion whatsoever, I wouldn't be the person that I am today, you know, without it. So it's definitely, yeah, I'm not religious, but I would step into the church. I'll go to the church. I will sing, I will pray, I will chant, I will do whatever it is I have to do at that time. But then I don't get attached to it. It's a practice. I celebrate it. I acknowledge it, because there's an energy in a church. There's an energy in the practice that comes with it, you know, so I would still practice it. But then still on the question of who is God or what is God, like we all have to understand that on our soul journeys, we came into this world alone through parents, of course, but we came into this world alone and we're going to leave alone. So where is the God in all of that? You know, so a lot of people, because I've done a few classes on achieving oneness with the higher soul, spiritual essence of man, and a few other classes as well with the Pranic Healing Center, is God is everywhere, you know, and people would always talk about the God within. Yeah, it's not the God that's written in a book or a God that is the unknown God. There is a known God, and that known God is within you. Okay? So the God within you can adapt, can shift, can focus, can shape shift into whatever. Like, it is just you as the individual. You have an issue, you look within, you dig within. Like, sure, you'll go to a counselor if you have whatever issues it is you're having. You'll go see a doctor if you've hurt yourself, you're not feeling well. You will go and see a teacher if whatever academic issues you're having. But then at the end of the day, it is you doing all those things, you know? So it is you entering the church, leaving that church. It is you going to the doctor, going back home. It is you going to school and coming back.
But you're saying this, I like this theory, because you're empowering people to say that you have God within you. And this is just my experience, but I found in Catholicism, it was, you are born with original sin. You have to spend your life repenting for that. And therefore it's this kind of a collective guilt that you have, and you have to repent for constantly. So you should be kind of scared of your sexuality growing up, and you know, confess the priest. Now they're the negative sides, I would say, of that religion that I experienced. But the positives were, some of the 10 commandments are quite useful. You know, some of them obviously out of date, like don't covet your neighbor's wife. I think that means like don't steal your neighbor's wife. It's like, you shouldn't be stealing wives anyway. It's frowned upon. So some of them are obviously out of date, but Jesus, if he did exist, I think there is evidence that he did, and you know, he was a prophet at least. He dropped some serious knowledge. I mean, he dropped, like, as in, you know, let he without sin cast the first stone. These things still ring true, and I think when things that stand the test of time, do so for a reason, because they are applicable even now. So I think, like, in any theory, you shouldn't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Just because a lot of it might not be stuff you agree with, maybe some of it is. And this is what I find really interesting speaking with you, is you've experienced different religions, and you wouldn't be the person you are now without experiencing them.
Yes.
So do you think as a society, I know it's a big question, but do you think we need religion? Or is that a loaded question?
I feel like I just had something tap me on the head, like, Sheila, you better watch what you're about to say, girl.
Maybe what you can say, maybe.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
I think we just need some form of guidance. Religion is just a guide, so it's like a form of guidance on the right path. So it's like telling your child, Mom, I want to go outside and play. They go play, they come back and like, yeah, I got into a fight. The parents come, like, yeah, I got into a fight. How dare your child hits my kid? Blah, 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 blah. Now, what would you say to your child to instill some form of discipline if you did not have that form of discipline in your life growing up as well?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's the thing, because there's no guide. I mean, when I was growing up, my best friend was Nigerian, right? And I say his name's Ogo, but shout out to Ogo. But Ogo, my mum and his mum are both religious. They go to mass every Sunday, right? So we had really similar mums because of religion. So culturally, although Ireland and Nigeria are so far away from each other, my Irish mum had more in common with his Nigerian mum than my English friend's mum. Who never went to church, who didn't follow a religion, because they're like God-fearing women. And, so it's amazing how religion can shape culture, even from like different parts of the world.
Yeah.
And that helped us to be like, if you're bold, if you're naughty, your mum might give you the wooden spoon or the slipper or whatever.
Yep.
And if she's not there, God's watching all the time. So
yes, indeed. You better watch yourself.
You can't do anything. So you better behave. And in a way, I can see the appeal of that. So I'm really torn on like I'm open to experiencing religion again, especially when it comes to raising kids. But just to say to them, look, this is not an ideology. It's not all perfect. Some stuff you can disagree with, and you're not a sinner. You're not condemned. Because as I mentioned before, I really do feel like if religion is not in a society, initially when you're growing up and figuring out the world, other things can come in its place that may not be as helpful. That's what I find anyway. But spirituality, is there, now that we've done you've done a one card oracle reading, from a practical point of view, how would one go about being more spiritual?
We're all spiritual beings having a human experience.
Perfect. There you go.
So we're all spiritual. We just need to be aware of it and be open to it, because we're all on a spiritual journey. That's what I keep saying, because I know you had mentioned something earlier on. What was the word you used? Oh, I can't remember. But the first thing that came to my mind was karma. You come into this world with a karma, with a karma that you have to. It's like paying back into your karma bank. So the more good you do, the more you put into your good karma. The worst stuff you do will be carried into your lifetime. You might have the same experiences or worse experiences into the next lifetime. But actually, I forgot what I was actually talking about. What were you saying?
I asked about how to become more spiritual.
Oh, how to become more spiritual. There's no way of becoming more spiritual. You just need to embrace your journey, be open-minded, and just take it one day at a time and have no expectations whatsoever.
And more so, like, realize it, because I think that based on what you said, if you realize that you are already a spiritual being from the moment you're conceived, maybe before you're conceived, then, because like for example in the East, in China, they have a different philosophy to when you become you, as it were, and where you feel about yourself. They think about more like the heart, or we think about the head in the West, as I hate saying East and West, but just to generalize. But being more spiritual, I think the block we have, and I have, is that Blaise Pascal said, the French philosopher, all of man's problems stem from him not being comfortable on his own. So basically, people don't like to be, that's not verbatim, but people don't like to be on their own.
Yes.
There is your phone, which is a constant distraction for boredom, for loneliness.
Yes.
But the most brilliant ideas, the biggest revelations, whether it be spiritual or otherwise, come from those quiet moments.
Yes.
And that's what I think I can bring more into our life. And this is where I think you come in, is giving people a chance to reflect. And also, this expression is overused too much in yoga, but holding space, as they say. I'm trying to think of a different phrase, but really to be, and this is the thing about when you come to a class, or when you go for a session with you, sometimes as the person who is being visited, like the teacher, the healer, you feel like you need to constantly be fixing, whereas often the person just wants to be heard.
Exactly.
And they want to be seen.
Yeah.
So speaking of which, I'm conscious of your time. Where do people go to hear and see you? See that segue?
Good thinking. Let's see what time it is.
That's good.
Well, I do have my website, healwithsheila.com. I have my social media platforms, Heal with Sheila as well, on Instagram, Facebook. I have my Twitter account, but not so active, but it's there. My YouTube channel, as we discussed earlier on, not active, but still evergreen.
Yeah.
And that's also Heal with Sheila. So I've just maintained the same brand name throughout. And because I'm also trying to get a lot of light workers, healers, and coaches, therapists on board, I just started the new platform, Healing with Healers. So it's just a platform where people can come and connect with a healer they resonate with the most, because not everyone's going to want to get a healing done by me. I wouldn't want to do yoga or go see a specific person because of probably the way they did their hair that day. I didn't like it, so I'm not going to take them. Like, no, it's not happening. So you might find someone you resonate with, like whatever service they offer and all. And it's so funny because I had someone ask me the other day, like, so you're busy promoting all these people. What's going to happen to your business? You're kind of like hurting your business at the same time because you're kind of pushing people away to other people. Aren't you supposed to be keeping these clients, keeping these people? And I'm like, no, you have to share. You have to give. It's in giving that you receive. Not that I want to receive, but it is what it is, you know? So I'm working on transforming as many lives as I can, being a positive influence in whatever way I can. I come to people from a non-judgmental stance because this body has been through a lot in this lifetime. You know, the mind has been through a lot. My emotions have been left, right, center, down, below, and everywhere in this lifetime. So I feel like I connect with people in a very cool way, in a very sympathetic, compassionate, non-judgmental way, you know? Like, if I could actually give my services for free, I would. But with the world we live in, I need to also survive and put food on the table.
Yeah, of course.
You know, so I would occasionally give a free session to someone I feel spiritually connected to, that they really do need a session or some guidance of some form. You know, I think you've noticed I also kind of like do a few free card readings. I just probably put up a little note in my stories like, guys, answer this question and one of you get a free card reading.
Yeah,
then I get the questions coming in. So it's just ways of being of service without being too intrusive, like too, you know? So yeah, I'm happy doing what I'm doing. And just a side note, like I always offer card readings and crystal therapy because a lot of people don't believe in the unknown. So they always want something tangible. They always want something they can connect with. So cards are visual, and we're visual beings. That's why we pick the partners we pick, buy the clothes we buy, eat the food we eat because it looks very nice and colorful and presentable in the plate for some reason. So if I'm to come to you and say, yes, I'm an energy healer, I'll do a healing for you. You come over or we do wherever, and I just say, lie down, I'll do the healing. You wouldn't feel that much of an effect like that kind of like, okay, did she really do something, or did she just go down and have a cup of tea, waited for the hour to finish up, like, hey, we're done. You can go home now. You know? So I always try to include cards, crystals, some form of touch, some form of chance, something that kind of reassures someone and says, okay, I'm here, I'm doing something. You might not see it, you will definitely feel it, but there's something happening, you know? And still on the point of spirituality, you have to reach a certain frame of mind that everything is an illusion. Moment of silence as we absorb that energy. Everything is an illusion. So we just have this little mental box where we just create things that make us feel comfortable and uncomfortable and just push us through life. So these cards right here, we just have them because they have to be there as a form of guidance. But at the end of the day, everything we need and want and desire is in us here. You know? So just be aware.
I feel like saying
and discern.
I feel like saying amen.
You can say it.
Can I say it? Amen.
Praise the Lord.
There's a tambourine. No,
Yes.
that's so true. That mindset is really powerful. Like the abundance mindset versus the scarcity mindset. No one can thrive on their own. You need peers. You need people similarly minded to you that you can collaborate with, that you can share ideas with. When you're in the mindset of I'm going to keep everything for myself and not give anything away, you won't thrive. You just won't. So I think what you're doing is really important and very effective. Sheila, that was fantastic. Thank you so much, and pleasure. We'll do it again sometime.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.